So what we've got in our controller, obviously, as Scott was saying, and I was saying at the start, obviously everything tends to want to flow that clockwise direction in a dial controller. Other controllers have different operations, but 90% of the controllers that are out there now are dial. The new Rainbird IVM is still dial, but then they've got, I guess, a series of buttons that still allow you to navigate whilst you're inside that menu. Even the most advanced controllers still have all that now. So the first things you're going to do with a controller is we're going to move across to the right, which is current time and day. So honestly, this is the modern version of that, but you can see that we're doing the same sort of thing. We're going to go across to that, and that just puts us into a menu where we can actually see the year. We would then up that to, it's literally an up and down button, to 2021. We press across on that, and then the first thing that's flashing is our, and they've showed that in a picture, which has actually got a 1 and a 12. And the reason that is because they've been geared for Australia, whereas traditionally the controllers used to be 12 and 1, and so you'd do that whole January 31st instead of 1st of January, so we tend to go that way. So I'll leave it as the 1st of January, but you can obviously up and down accordingly here, and then you just move to the next one, and that's your now we're dealing with the month as well. We go across. Now we've got AM or PM as well. So yeah, we've got AM or PM, and we go across and we can start setting our hour, and then we go across again and we can start setting the minutes. And we're not setting, this isn't start times or anything like that. This is purely just the current clock time and what day we're in. So that's just this base point, and that's the first thing that we want to set in a controller, okay? The next thing we go across is our start time. A big problem we see with controllers that we get a phone call from is, I've set the controller up, I've done it fine, but my yard, everything's on all the time and it's watering forever. But I've done it all properly though. Now, I say, how many start times have you got in there? Well, I've got all 4 in there because I've got 4 stations. I was like, no, it's a big misunderstanding, but it's the start times is when do you want that program to turn on. So for example, 8 o'clock at night. So when we see up here, we see number 1, that's start time 1, not station 1. And so it can be very, very misleading because people will go, okay, well, I want station 1 to come on at 8 o'clock. And then they go across and they see number 2. Oh, station 2, I'll put that on at 8. And they work back and they go, well, station 1 was on for 30 minutes, so I'll set this one for 8:30. What's actually happening there is program A is going to start at 8 o'clock and go through all the stations. And then it'll then look and go, oh, we're also supposed to have started at 8:30. So let's come back and we'll do that again. And all the stations will come on again and it'll go to 3. And so now you've watered 4 times as much in one night. And so then they get a nice heavy water bill. What's going on? So always remember, and this is the same for all controllers, start times are for an individual. So when you see the 1 or the 2, it's for that start time, not for the station accordingly. So what we'll do here is we'll go start time 1, and I would literally just press up here and I'll say, I want that to come on at 1 AM in the morning. Okay, and it's just literally as up or down to when we want that to be. I want to go across to start time 2. I'm going to leave that as off because I don't need it to come on any more than once in a night. Start time 3's off, start time 4's off, we move on, and we're happy with that. The next thing we go is run times. And I guess it's handy that they've got them two together because you can, I guess it reminds you that run times aren't start times. Run times are how long you want it to run for, and start times is when you want it to come on. So when we go to run times, again, now we're seeing an hourglass, which is its run time, and the number 1. Now that number 1 is station 1. So we would say, oh, okay, I want that to be on for 5 minutes, and it's just a case of up and down. We can go the other way on here, and we can take it to the back way, and then it flips it so you can sort of come back the other way, and with this controller it will go from 4 hours. Other controllers I think take it from 6 hours and 8 hours, depending on the commercial level of the controller. This is a residential controller, but gets used in commercials as well. So yeah, we'll go put that on at 5 minutes, and you'll notice here, and this is a big part of how it's easier to tell as well, this is an 8-station capacity controller. You will know obviously on the other controllers how many stations you had installed. If you press across, you've got number 2, and if we keep going, you can see I can get to 8, but I can't get to 8 in start times. I can only have 4 start times on this controller. So you'll sort of, and that's where people can get caught, and it will actually help them, because they'll go to put start time 5 in, thinking it was station 5, and it's not there, and they go, oh shit, that's right, I needed to go and get rid of all start times 4, 3, 2, and go back again. Does that make sense? So you can put all your run times in for your stations here. So for this situation, I've just put that's to come on, station 1's to come on at 5 for 5 minutes, sorry. Then we go across down to water days. All right, water days is on, and you'll see if we look at water days here, and I'll just go around the table, but see how we've got Monday flashing, and there's water droplets on all of these. If I press minus, see it puts a no on it, like a cross across it, which means Monday won't come on. But I want Tuesday to come on, and then it will move across. So plus being yes, minus being no. And then I would press, I don't want Wednesday, I do want Thursday, I don't want Friday, I do want Saturday, and I do want Sunday. So you can see how that's it's set up, that's ready to go. And you can just go through and change all that as you see fit. And just literally a plus and minus to whatever suits. When you do that on a Hunter node, I don't know if you've got Hunter nodes out there, it's exactly the same setup as this. Other brands, same process. 90% of the time it's plus is yes, minus is no, and you just, as you press that selection, it'll take you to the next day. If you're wrong with it, just move through and you'll come back. Obviously you've only got 7 to deal with, so you'll just come back again.
How many nodes have you got out there you're in stock? 30.
Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah.
A few more, can't really, 15. How many years after?
Yeah. So does that make sense what I'm saying here as far as the plus and minus on the actual? So if you just wanted to say that's flashing as no, but I wanted to make that yes, you can see now it's got a water droplet on there, so we're good to go. All right. Now effectively, we've set the current time and date. We've set when we want our program to come on, what run time per station, and what days of the week. That's the schedule. They're the only factors that need to be done for a controller. The last thing you need to do is move that through to the run position. Like all controllers, run doesn't necessarily mean you're going to run it. It's other controllers I think have auto. The LXs I think have them set to auto. The reason Hunter have done that as run is because you can select a manual station and then flick it to run, and it does it as a manual start. But that top always is the auto settings, which means if left now, it's got its clock set, everything's in there, and it will come on when it needs to come on. If you have your controller set to system off, nothing happens. The only time you can override that is if you've got central control, and you'll know if someone's gone and done that, because the new central control software will tell you.
Yeah, as well. You can't.
Not yet. No. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. So Rainbird's IQ 4 has the ability that you can actually override electrically what the dial's been done, but when you get to site, it'll say conflict in dial. Please turn it to this, so then it all matches again. But if you had someone went and did some tests and then accidentally just turned it to off, and you got a notification saying they've left it to off, you can go set to auto. They've mucked it up, and you can electrically override that, which is handy because then you don't have to do the drive out. So that's pretty much it as far as setting the program up on that side of things. Other than that, we want to be setting up, obviously we've got system off now, but if we wanted to turn a station on, we just move it to manual station, and I think they've got all the controllers are pretty well in the same area as far as where we want to be turning them on. We just go to manual station and you can see station 1's coming up, flashing. With that predefined runtime that we'd already set in there, it just brings that through as the default. But if we wanted to up and down this from a manual standpoint, you know what, I don't need it to be on for, it might be 40 minutes. I don't need it to be on for 40 minutes. I just want to see that it's okay. I'll just give it 2 minutes and then I'll let it pop down again. Because I've got people walking over. I think 2 minutes is fine. They're not going to get wet by then or what have you. So we see that on as station 1. It's flashing as 5 minutes. All we do there is move that to the run button, the run dial, and you can see that you've got that flashing little sprinkler. You see that little sprinkler symbol flashing there? That just tells me that there's actually operation happening now. Now, that's when I did that multimeter test. I would normally have done that and go, yep, cool, the controller's telling me it's watering. I'm getting no voltage, so I've got a problem. But normally you have your sprinklers pop up and you're good to go and you can move. If you wanted to and you're like at the controller and you're looking out on the field and you can see it happening, cool, no worries, I'm happy with that. I don't need to wait for 5 minutes. I'll just move to the next one. Literally press across and this has got 0, so we just want to give it some runtime. And it's now going to start watering for 2 minutes. Yep, I'm happy. I've seen that one again. Move across to the next one. On it comes, starts watering again. Oh, I've left it for too long, but because when it's got 0, if you don't give it a runtime, it's going, oh, well, then it's done. So it'll shut down. Obviously, you would normally have runtimes in all your valves, so you wouldn't have an issue with any of that. Solar sync settings. Do you run solar sync? No, cool. Ignore solar sync. I wouldn't worry about it. Hunter's probably watching, but I don't believe in solar sync in that regard. I think it's too convoluted for what it is. And then you've got obviously seasonal adjustment is handy as well. So you've already set a January budget, and you might do this a little bit from IWMS a touch.
I tend to just change the whole program, but there have been times where I've used seasonal adjustment.
Yeah.
But probably the thing that complicates that is you've got,
Microclimate areas.
Yeah, you might just too many different things on site to go, I want to increase it all by 20%.
Yeah, that's too much for some areas and not enough for another area. So yeah, correct. So seasonal adjust purely is just a percentage-based adjustment. So if you set everything for 40 minutes or whatever you might have set, and you're happy with your application rates, but hey, we got a heat wave coming in. The next 3 days straight of 44 degrees in a row. That's not enough. I need to put it all up. Instead of going into each station and upping the run times, you can go to your seasonal adjust and literally go, at the moment it's set to 100%, and we can just press up and take that up by a percentage. So we're at 150, so it's going to, if it was at 30 minutes, obviously it's adding another 15 to that, if that makes sense, because it's 50% of an additional. So now we're going to have 45 minutes of runtime. But as Scott said, that's global. So that's great if you know what's happening on site is relative to all of it and you're okay with that. But if you've got a shady area, that's as good all year round. It doesn't really need much more. You go and put 50% more on now, you've got moss growing on your turf and the other areas are okay. So just being mindful of that. The other side of it too is remembering that at a controller level, you set that, it's done. So after the heat wave, come back. Otherwise, you're going to get some water bills. And the other way too. We've had remember the really, really wet springs we had and whatever. It's like, well, I don't want to go around and turn all my controllers off. I still want to give them a bit, but they don't need to be where they were. So I might go to 70%. So we can go the other way and take it down the other way as well. And I think we can go down to 10% of watering, to the point where if we were watering at 10% of your schedule, I would say you just probably should leave it a few days and then give it another good drink, because you're probably not putting enough on to even do anything. It's just wetting the thatch. So yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. That's pretty much across all controllers the same thing. Even when you go to central control, you're doing the same setups, schedules and what have you. So yeah, that's pretty much as far as that goes from a controller programming point of view. Is everyone comfortable with our wiring up of the valves and back at the controller? Obviously, we've done that wire up and how to fault find everything there as well. That's good.